You know, Nigel Farage loves to talk tough when it's about boats crossing the channel, but the second you change the subject, it all falls apart. In this car crash interview that he had today on BBC, Farage was asked some very basic questions, like how much his water nationalisation plan would cost, or why reform councils are cutting flood committees during floods, and whether it's a good idea to give reform mayor a 600% pay rise. And the answers? Well, let's just say when he's not talking about immigration, Nigel suddenly becomes a lot less sure of himself.
You say you would want it 50% under government control, along with all utilities. How much would it cost to have 50% of the water industry under public ownership?
That depends what deal you do with the private sector investors. I mean, we are in a hell of a mess with this. An increase of the population by 10 million has left us completely incapable of coping. Companies have been badly run. I think we know all of that. We would look for private sector investment. Mm-hmm. The government can be a partner. It's all about what deal you strike, isn't it? And I mean, this is, to some extent, what we're saying across the board is we need more people running government with genuine business experience.
But the business experience and people who've looked at this carefully, DEFRA and Ofwat, the regulators, say that the cost of nationalisation... Don't forget. Let me ask you this question. The estimate of the cost of nationalisation is £99 billion. So would you be willing to spend £50 billion of taxpayers' money to take water into national control?
I'm sorry. DEFRA and Ofwat are part of the problem. Everybody thinks the same. It's public sector thinking. We need private sector innovation. We need people coming into politics, doing things from outside the normal political sphere.
But how much taxpayers' money would you be prepared to spend to take half of the water industry into public control? That's the question.
Well, one thing we must not do is bail out any existing bondholders or shareholders. That absolutely has to be part of the deal.
So shareholders would be expected to give the companies to the government and the taxpayer for free without being compensated?
I think it'd be a lot less than that if you strike the right deal.
So how much?
I don't know. I haven't sat in the negotiations, but a completely different mindset is needed.
So here he's proposing to part nationalise a multi-billion-pound industry and hasn't even run the numbers. But hey, he feels it's going to be cheaper, so that's all that matters, right?
A 19-year-old in your party is now the leader of Warwickshire Council, in charge of a budget of £500 million. Mm-hmm. He wants to spend £190,000 on hiring political assistants. Is that a good use of taxpayers' money?
Well, at the moment, we're finding that we're very, very hamstrung. We're going into existing administrations. We're facing obstructionism. This guy, George Finch, does he need some professional political figures around him? You bet your life he does.
You want to cut costs, but your answer in that particular is to take on more staff and spend nearly another £200,000 of council taxpayers' money.
It's better to have staff who support the will of the democratically elected councillors than it is to have public sector staff opposing you.
But you think that is then a model for what will happen in reform councils around the country? You'll take on more staff costing more?
I think Warwickshire is the worst example. Once he's got the right staff, we can make some real savings.
This one's gold. Reform runs on a promise of smaller government. On one hand, they're saying they're cutting waste. On the other, his teenage council leader's first move is blowing nearly $200,000 on new hires, which he's defending. The hypocrisy writes itself.
We've also seen decisions, like in Lincolnshire, for example, where the council's got rid of the flood committee, except there have been floods.
Yeah, well, who says the flood committee would do any good? I mean, there is this assumption that you appoint committees, you launch inquiries, you do all these things, and they actually lead to any results. And we saw no evidence of that in Lincolnshire at all.
So you saw no evidence that having a flood committee to try to protect the citizens of that county from floods?
I think you'll find that Dame Andrea Jenkins, who was the mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, thinks actually she'd be better off with some civil engineers rather than people placed on a committee who've got no knowledge of the subject at all.
They had no knowledge of flooding.
This is just madness. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. They cut flood committee during a flood and then defend it by saying, what, the committee wasn't psychic?
Scarborough Town Council has given its reform mayor a 600% pay rise.
I have no idea.
You don't know?
Whether what you say is true or not, I've no idea.
So is that the right thing to do in principle?
I have no idea. It's a town council, 600%. What's it from sort of...
It's a small amount, so a payment of £500 up to £3,500, which I know
I don't know. Is he doing it or she doing it as a full-time job? I've no idea.
And again, because he's not talking about immigration, he hasn't got a clue. A reform mayor gives themselves a 600% pay rise and Farage just pleads ignorance. He's really not across the detail, or he's fine with it and just doesn't want to say.
Or do you believe in man-made climate change?
Well, do I believe there's climate change? Yes. Does man have an influence? Impossible to think we haven't got some influence. As to what proportion it is, I've no idea.
But as a simple question of
no,
principle,
I know.
do you believe in
this is not my
man-made
religion.
change?
This is not my religion. I know it's the religion in Westminster now in a fairly godless age. It's not my religion.
And this one was just really bizarre. It's a yes, but also no, but also a weird jab at godliness. He admits humans affect climate, then spend 5 minutes arguing why doing anything about it is pointless. Reform logic, everyone. And so that's Nigel Farage, the man who wants to take back control, but can't even control a single council budget without drama. When the cameras stop rolling, the topic's not on immigration. What's left? A party built on buzzwords, without a single working plan behind them. And why they didn't talk about immigration? Well, maybe it's because of what Ed Davey said in the video you can see on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.